Hello and welcome to the place to soar, where you can step out and redesign you, soaring as high as your heart desires. Here you can learn to manage your redesigned life using the SOAR 10 Commandments, which are life transition, managing relationships, community and family, freedom and fulfillment, personal economy, personal development, life coaching, travel adds value, the writer's edge, and leaving a legacy. My name is Anita Russell, and I'm your host, and this is my dear friend Gail Talafaro, and she's your co-host. Gail is going to tell you a little bit more about our show, and this handsome gentleman that we have sitting right here is our guest for today.
Hello, everyone. Today we're going to concentrate on one of the 10 SOAR commandments that we have, and that's on community and family. But basically, we're going to be talking about community. I have here Mr. Stacy Heading, a good friend of mine,
Yay!
A deacon. I can come to him with anything, and he can put me in my place. But he heads the Servants Endeavoring to Empower and Develop S.E.E.D Male Mentoring Program, and he is blowing up in the city of Trenton.
Wow.
And it's just so awesome how, he was given a task and it has just become him, and he is like, all engulfed in, the program and in the community. He's a lover of humanity. My friend, Stacy Heading. How you doing today?
How you doing, Gail? That was nice. Very nice.
You deserve it.
I'm loving the vibe up in here.
Good.
So
good.
Tell us about SEEDs.
S.E.E.D, Service Endeavoring to Empower and Develop, which is us, the S.E.E.D Now Mentoring Program. So, we started out in the church through True Serving Church under Bishop E. Earl Jenkins, the visionary. But what ended up happening was Bishop said he wanted us to take it out into the community. The vision was just bigger than inside the church. So what we started doing was recruiting kids from out in the community. And so now when you look at the S.E.E.D program, it's made up of maybe about 40% of the youth from the church and about 60% of the kids from the community. And that was our vision. We wanted to reach out to those in the community and give them the opportunity to be a part of this program.
Awesome,
Yep.
awesome. So, and it's just so awesome how, he had risen up to the call, and it just went in a whole different level, because in the beginning, you weren't too sure about going in the community, doing
Right.
the workshops,
Right.
but once you took hold of it, you just made it your own,
Yeah.
and you just developed this whole system and
Definitely.
designed it to fit you so that you can better work in the community.
Look at Gail, you summed it up. But I mean, honestly, that's exactly what it is. God has put something in me, and I didn't know. Remember, I was in pharmaceuticals, and I was working over at Bristol Myers Squibb. And when I came over to the church, I was the head of the men's ministry. And there was a couple other gentlemen, Omar Foote, and they were in charge of the S.E.E.D Male Mentoring Program. So one day I came over and I did a workshop with them. I sat in and watched what they were doing. And I had this idea. I wanted the kids to start learning and understanding how to give back. So the S.E.E.D program just started off really doing a lot of community service. We were going to nursing homes, and the first thing we did, our first presentation at the nursing home was on Dr. Martin Luther King.
Oh, nice.
Yep, with the Royal Healthgate Nursing Home. And each young man had a part, and they did their part, and then at the end we had a gentleman to be like Dr. Martin Luther King and do the I Have a Dream speech, and it was great, and it went over well. And what ended up happening was a lady by the name of Annette Lortigue, I'm not sure if you know her,
yeah.
one day she gave us some money, and it was enough to do a MLK program. Now, she didn't know that's what she was giving the money for, but after that presentation, maybe halfway, maybe 6 months later, when she gave us the money, I said, you know what? Let's do a Martin Luther King presentation and have these kids to do it for their families, the people out in the community.
Nice. Yeah.
And the first one we did at the Mountain View Golf Club, we had over 125 people there.
Yeah,
And it was great, and the kids did their presentation, and that was 6 years ago. And just about 2 days ago, we did our 5-year anniversary King presentation breakfast at the Wyndham Gardens Hotel downtown Trenton. So, it starts from a vision. And I always say this is so key. I got it from my dear friend Solomon, Deacon Solomon, who was also a mentor with me. First, you got to care. We always say that. So sometimes when we give a speech, we'll start off with that. We'll say, first you got to care. And we put that into people's head for a minute. So now as we start talking about the things we do, we'll go back because people look like, well, how did you move? But first you got to care. And we go back to that. So when you care, then you just start thinking of all kind of things to do that's going to work for the kids because you care. And then God will give you that vision and you just continue to seek him. You seek God, and as you seeking God in prayer, he'll just reveal things to you, Gail. You know, we bought the play down, Black Angels over Tuskegee.
Yes.
And we know when we went out to the War Memorial Building and they said, we went to the State Museum.
State Museum, that's
and the
right.
lighting wasn't correct, and you know, but they had 375 seats. And the guy, Bill Nutter, said, "You know what? If this is not going to work, let's go look at the War Memorial Building." I'm looking at the guy, I'm like, mm-mm.
Yeah, and I'm like, let's
And Gail's
go.
like, yeah, I don't know because I can't sell all those tickets and it's too big. So we go over there, and I said, well, we'll just walk over there. And the writer and producer, Mr. Leon Gray, we walk in there, we're looking at the small banquet room, which still holds about, 600-700 people. He walks into the theater part, and he's on stage. And so I'm talking to the gentleman, and I said, so Leon, what do you think? Leon,
he's on stage.
He's on stage.
I'm like, I went behind him like, you like this, don't you?
Right.
You know, he sees all those seats.
All the lightings that we missed that we couldn't get at the other place.
Yeah.
It was all
has
there.
everything.
Yeah.
And remember, they were off Broadway, so they never worked in a theater that big. All their theaters are small little houses, look like almost. So he was just like, and I never forget. I said, Leon, this is a big undertaking. I don't know. But when I saw how bad he wanted it, and what he knew he could do with his crew, and I knew it would be doing something special for him, and also the city of Trenton, I looked at Gail, and she said, you know what, we can do it.
Yeah, I was in Leon's ear, and I'm like, you want this? Because we can make this
happen.
And he was like, it would be nice.
Another key word he said to me too, and I use it sometimes. He looks at me, he says, you can do it. You're a producer. I said, I'm a producer. Listen, I was like, producer.
Plant the seed.
Nice.
Planted the
That's
seed.
nice.
Yeah,
and you know what?
yeah.
From that day, even when doing events, I make sure like if you've seen at the breakfast, there's different people from different walks all over. That's part of producing, bringing everyone together in the room, the youth, the adults, the different diversity, having a diverse crowd, and and everybody having a good time, and that's part of the producing. And so when I was emceeing the show, I'm just looking around, and I'm like, this is strategically done.
Absolutely.
I'm like, yes.
Yeah.
I like this.
It was awesome.
Yeah, because I could remember that Black Angels over Tuskegee. It was amazing. But what I particularly liked, it was fantastic at the War Memorial Building. But what I really liked is the fact that you guys did a production at Trenton Central High School.
Yes.
I think that really meant a lot to the local community. So why don't you talk a little bit about that?
Yes. So I had a backer, and he said, you know what? I was saying, could you help me bring this play down? He said, you think about bringing it to the school? And I said, you know what? A little bit. So then he ended up saying, you know what you can do is, he was an athlete, and he says, what you can do is invite all the athletes, because what happened, Black Angels over Tuskegee, the New York Jets will go there every year to watch this show. You know what I mean? Because it's about camaraderie, and it's about how everybody may not get along, but at the end, you just going for the for the big cause at the end. You know what I mean? The effect at the end of being together and coming together as a team. And he said, so you should do that. And I said, okay. So Gail and I, we went to Trenton High. We talked to them, but we put a different spin on it. We said we're going to do half athletes, and the other half are troubled kids that just need that extra turn. They're not all the way gone, but they're kind of getting caught up, and someone with truancy and tardiness, and maybe talking back to the teacher, going through some issues at home. So we got all of those kids together. So the auditorium was filled up at Trenton High with half all the athletes and half of some of the troubled students. And what we would do is we did about 3 workshops there, because one thing I know with working with youth, you can't spring anything on them.
Right.
Just out of the blue. If I bring these guys from New York and you don't tell them anything, and then it's an assembly and they just come into play, they don't know what's going on, they start getting a little paranoid, they get antsy, they get anxious. That's just how it is now. So I said, when Gail and I was meeting with the principal and the athletic director, we said we're going to do about 3 or 4 workshops. We're going to come, we're going to talk to them, and we want to talk about what this play is about. And then we had a, what did you call it? The student guide that Ivy made?
Right, the study
lesson
guide.
plan.
The lesson
study
guide.
guide.
Study
So we
guide.
had the study guide, the lesson plan, and I had Darren Freedom Green come with me, and they would bring all the kids in the auditorium, and we would just talk to them. And you know what one of the kids said? The girl, I'll never forget, she said, "You're doing that for us? Why?" And I said, "Because you're special." And she turned around, she said, "We're special." You know, and that's what they felt special. Let me tell you something. And in doing this, when the play came, those young, were you there?
I was there.
Were they paying attention?
Yes.
Were they engaged?
Yes.
They were just like, wow. And I was
Yes.
just so happy. You know, and that's where Heal the City started from. When we started saying Heal the City. And at the end of the play, remember I grabbed the microphone, I said, the count of 3, say Heal the City. And all of them like, Heal the City.
But you know what? But they saw the genuine in what you were doing. And that was through the whole community.
Yep.
They see this young man. Yes, he's from Trenton.
Yep.
He doesn't live in Trenton anymore. He works in Trenton. He grew up in Trenton.
Right.
And he saw the need to do this. And the community, they embraced him.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean?
Right.
Because he's still vested in the community.
Right.
He still cares about the community. And the thing is, they saw how genuine you were. See,
Right.
people can tell when people are fake. And if they're not genuine, but they saw that in Stacy. So you know, his popularity has grown because of the work that he does. And just like you said, tell us more about Heal the City, because Heal the City was birthed out of, you know, the cries of the people of Trenton when there were increase in violence, gang activity.
Right.
So Stacy came up with the idea of Heal the City. Tell us
Heal the
about
City,
that.
that's what we did. And then Nita was part of Heal the City with us. And it was fun
that was
because part of it was we were going to different restaurants in the community and we were filming and shooting us, having the meetings in different restaurants because that was part of the healing. Even the copies and the programs we had made for the play Black Angels Over Tuskegee was right downtown at Capitol Copy. We were just supporting the whole city of Trenton and doing the whole healing piece in Trenton. But I never forget how it came up was I went to a funeral. A young lady son had gotten shot. He got killed. And when I went to the funeral, I never forget she wanted me to say a few words. So I go to the funeral and I put my it was at Campbell funeral, and I put I had to go to the bathroom, so I sat like in the middle, you know. So I put my Bible down in the middle, and I went to the bathroom. Came back, someone took my seat, and they were looking like, you better not even think about asking for this seat. But people were angry and upset, and you can feel the spirit in there. It just wasn't what it was. It was rough in there, and people were hurt. And a lot of our young kids, when they're hurt, that's all they know is like, how are we gonna get revenge? How are we gonna get back? And some of them don't want to hear none of that. It's gonna be all right. So you have to pray for them and be silent because sometimes you may can say the wrong word. I seen the anger. So I get my Bible and then I go and head to the back. So this gentleman's friends started coming in and everybody just had this look of anger, like they just wanted to hurt something. And I said, man, this city needs healing. This city needs a big hug, you know. That's what my friend Solomon would say. The city needs a hug. And that's what I was thinking. I said, we need to be embraced. We need a hug. We need healing. And so when it got time for me to go up to speak, that's what I was talking about. I said, we need healing and we got to figure this out. We have to come together because the city is hurting and we're traumatized. And we've been through a lot, you know, and I understand, but we need some healing. And that's why when we sat down and then at that time, we were thinking about bringing the play down and we put on the flyer, we said, Heal the City. And what I wanted to do was bring those mothers whose kids were slain and murdered to the play. And we ended up bringing a couple of them, but some of them were still so hurt, like they couldn't get in it, in the play, it's a couple sad parts at the end, so they could not have handled it anyway. But, I say all that to say that experience was an experience will never forget.
And it was awesome too how people rise to the call, because not only was it Heal the City and you, Stacy Heading, but it was other men in the community coming together, and now there's a brotherhood in the city who's looking to make changes in the community. See, people, they want change, and there are people who want to rise up to the cause and help make it work.
Right.
So as long as we get together and work as a team together, we can make changes to the community. That's what I think is so awesome.
I think the really beautiful thing about everything that you just talked about is that you actively involve young people.
Yes.
So it wasn't just like you said, we got this thing, we want y'all to come.
Right.
You got the young people
Yep.
involved. As a matter of fact, a couple of the events, for example, Black Angels, I had my grandson with me. And I think it was at the point where at the end of the show when the boys came on stage, my grandson, he was 6 at the time, and he said, I want to be one of those boys.
Yep.
You know, so starting with children when they're really, really young and they start to see those positive things, those positive influences, those positive role models and everything, that's a part of the healing process. And we just have to do more. And you just keep doing it and doing it and doing it. You just don't stop.
You don't stop.
Until eventually this starts to rise and this starts to fall.
There you go. And that's what it's about.
And that's so important because I remember sitting in on, especially this one particular workshop that Stacy did. I think a sorority asked you to do a team workshop. So I think you did like 2 of them. And he was talking to the girls and boys in the workshop, and he started talking about him and his wife and how devoted he is to his wife. And I can remember watching some of the boys, and they were like, you know, they could not believe that here is a young Black man who is devoted to his wife. They need that type of stuff to show that, okay, you can be a strong man, you can be a leader in a community, and you can still hold it down with your family. That is so important,
it's
family.
very important.
You taught something that day, and then after that, I'm like, you know, I told you, you should use that more often.
Right. And I think I have been too.
Okay.
Yeah, that was good on Saturday when you had your wife come up. That
because
was
they
very
need to
nice.
see, and we call that healthy relationships.
Yeah,
they
absolutely.
they need to see that, you know. And back to what you were saying, Anita, people are surprised at little things that captivate people that can change their lives. Like you said, when your grandson just seen the boys walk across stage. I know it. I wanted my young men to be dressed up, shirt and tie, and come across the stage and let people see, you know what I mean? Like, these are some young men that are trying to do the right thing, and they're part of this. Some of those young men went to New York because we had to get this big bus and bring the props back. And I said, listen, y'all want to go with Brother Darnell, and y'all want to help bring the props back. And they set the props up with the young men. I met with the cast, put it on the bus, brought it back, and then when the play was over, took it back up New York with them. So we were just teaching them accountability, like you all are a part of this. Absolutely. But I never forget this in the play, and we talk about this. This was backstage. Gail and I, all of us, you know, the Hill to City team, we were doing so much work that I was supposed to just welcome the crowd. I forgot because I'm getting this together, I'm getting that together. We had the VIP reception. So now it's 2 minutes before the curtain's about to go, and they said, okay, Stacey, you got to go do the welcome. And I had to go from the front, I had to go to the back. I'm like, where the microphone? We didn't know the microphone was at, and the curtains was just opening. And I'm like, what? And so I get the microphone, and as it's opening, now I'm seeing all the people out there. I never forget, I turned to my business, I'm not going, you go. I really got scared of me because it came too fast.
Yeah.
And he said, you got it. He took it and almost pushed me. I kind of stumbled out there. I'll never forget that. But let me tell you how God worked. When I got out there, I looked, I saw those people, and I saw some in the balcony, and I thought about when he said, you can do this. You're a producer. You know, and I knew that my God will help guide me through this. You know, he was just confirmation.
Awesome.
And I looked at the audience, and guess what I said? Trenton, we did it. Remember that? And the people just started, you know, I didn't go all into something else because that's how I felt. I just looked at the people and I'm like, listen, we did it. And when they clapped and did all of that, and then we brought a Tuskegee Airman out, Dr. Leslie Heading, it just started flowing. And that's why I say thank you, God. It just started flowing. After we did it, the people was clapping. I said, Dr. Leslie Heading. Former Tuskegee Airman. And then the people really went crazy, and it was like, wow, God, he'll give you what to say. When it's time. Not too much. Didn't have to go into everything, just fell into place. And one day I was coming out of Hammond Y, and Pastor David Evans, you know, that's his name, David Evans? Ethan Evans.
Ethan.
Ethan. He come out. He's with his son because his kids and his wife went. He didn't go, and he's like, oh, "That's the guy that was on stage."
Oh, wow.
And I'm like.
So now you're a producer
And
and
now
a celebrity.
You now like a celebrity. But it goes back to what you said about your grandson. When you're
Absolutely.
walking out and you're to them you're a public figure. When you're walking out to the people, you don't know what people are thinking.
Yes.
And that's why it's always good to be able to touch them. Say hi. I always tell people that no matter what, I'm never going to lose my ability and the humility, because God has definitely humbled me to touch people, to say how you doing, to shake their hand, to look them in the eyes. A guy who really inspired me in the mentoring was what's my man who wrote the book Letters to a Young Brother? Hill Harper.
Oh, yeah.
Hill Harper,
yeah,
one of
yeah.
the first book, one of the books I read, and they asked him, they said, Hill, you know, the reporters, they said, because he was going into prisons, talking to the young people, and that's how he was getting these letters, that the concerns that these kids had, and he would answer them back in the book. And then he would get different celebrities to answer the letters back to them. It's a beautiful, well-written book. But they said, you know, your grandfather was a dentist, your father was a doctor, you know, so between, even if it was vice versa, but they were doctors and a dentist, they said, how can you relate to these kids? And he says, I just look them in their eyes.
Yeah.
You know, and he said, I just tell them the truth. I tell them what they need. Doesn't matter where you're from. People think you gotta be from there. And that's where we get it twisted at, Anita. What happens is, people think if you see a guy, you gotta walk with him, you gotta be cool, you gotta act like, they don't really respect that.
Exactly.
You know,
Exactly.
they want to know that you understand where they're coming from. So you definitely can't act like you don't understand where they're coming from. But at the same time, you just got to give them truth. And that's what Hill was saying. You got to look them in their eyes and just tell them the truth and how they can get out of the situation that they're in. That's all that
Because
counts.
at our core, we're all human beings.
Yeah.
Yes.
We're all
That's
human
right.
beings, and we're
That's
all
right.
created in
That's
the image
right.
of God. That's
Yes.
all of us. Doesn't
Yep.
matter,
Yep.
you know, people born 100 years ago, people who will be born 100 years
Yep.
from now. Same thing.
Same thing.
Same thing.
Same
So
thing.
we've talked quite a bit about some of the things that you've done in the past with the S.E.E.D male mentoring
Right.
program and
Right.
Heal the City. So where do you see things going forward?
So, you know what? I'll tell you. It's tough because now I just start thinking and I'm like, wow, this will be great. But I sit and I ponder and I listen to God as He give it to us. I know one of our, you know, we haven't talked about it. We've been doing the positive billboard image campaign.
I was going to get to that.
Under
Yeah.
Heal the City, and that has been going, it's just been incredible, you know, highlighting kids from the community, kids that are doing well in school. We're doing a new one that is called A Tribute to the Youth in the Arts in Trenton. So what we did was we got all of these different youth programs that's dealing with the arts and music, and these were organizations I didn't even know about, and Ivy, you know, connected me with a couple of them. There was a few I knew, and so you have like Dream Makers, the dance company from the YMCA, that what's her name, Rachel, I forgot her name, but she's over that group, the Trenton music community. Young kids were singing. And so we had all the Foundation Academy. We have about 7 different groups and organizations, the Garvey School, and what we did, we put them all on one billboard and we're celebrating the youth arts
is
in
wonderful.
Trenton. So when you ride by, you'll see the organization, because we want to uplift the organizations also.
yes.
And then what we want to do is show the kids that there's things that you can do. You can join one of these organizations if you want to, you know, do some things and stay up off the streets. And so we have the billboard campaign. Now we're going back to Atlanta. We did it about 3 years ago. And Gail Nephew is coming, Isaiah, who's just such a talented artist. But we're doing a college tour to Atlanta. And let me just say this real quick. You know, when we do the Atlanta college tour, we also do local college tours also. And the kids, most of them probably not even going to go that far down south, but it's a whole experience.
Yeah.
It's a mentoring process. It's a bonding process with the young men. It's a life skills, because we go to the airport. They have on their shirt and ties, and then they got to tell us what flight we're going to catch. We just sit back. You got to figure out where you're going to go, what flight you're going to catch, how you're going to pay for your luggage, how you're going to do what you need to do. And then we do the career opportunities while we're there. We do fine dining while we're there. We have guest speakers come in. And at the end, we go to Stone Mountain. And we climb Stone Mountain before our flight. We usually have an evening flight. And when they climb Stone Mountain, when they all finally make it to the top, they talk about their whole experience while we're at the top of Stone
Oh, wow.
Mountain. And what
That's
they're going to do and how they're
incredible.
going to bring it back to the community.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
So we're almost out of time. So what I'd like you to do maybe for the next couple of minutes or so, just tell us, you already talked about the past and you've already talked about the future. What is that one golden nugget that you would like to leave with our audience?
Ooh, that's a good one. One of the thing I love and I want everybody to know, and this is the way I'm kind of going. We are a male mentoring program, but I'm more for uplifting the whole community.
Yes.
And so one of the things that I like, what I'm working on doing is whatever we can do to bring the whole community together. And we all learn together as one. So also, just like the MLK breakfast and everybody coming together, I think Trenton can be a better place if we all come together. Young and old, old and young, and we just start to know each other and school each other on life and just start loving each other. And that's what I want.
Awesome.
That's my goal.
Awesome.
Amen. So that brings us to the end of our show. Another incredible discussion with an awesome
this was beautiful.
person, someone who is living,
Right.
not just talking,
Right.
but living
Right.
what he's speaking. And I
Right.
think that's truly a testimony to your commitment to the community and
yes.
the young people and all that sort of thing. So the last thing I'd like to say to our audience is you heard it here at the Place to Soar. You can soar as high as your heart desires. Woo!
Awesome.
That's right. I like that.
Thank you, Stacy.